Charlotte is incredibly brave for sharing her personal story about HPV. She wants to help others who might be going through the same thing, and she hopes that by talking openly, she can make a difference.
I'm really thankful for this chance to talk about my experience. I know there are lots of people out there quietly dealing with HPV, and I want to help. It's time we all started talking about it more openly. I hope my story can help others and show them they're not alone.
Charlotte's journey started with a diagnosis that brought a lot of scary and confusing feelings, but she was determined to stay positive and learn as much as she could. She had always been proactive about her health, so this news came as a shock. She knew she had to gather all the information she could to make informed decisions about her treatment and future.
When my doctor told me I had HPV, my whole world felt like it turned upside down. I remember sitting in the doctor's office feeling like the walls were closing in on me. It was a moment of sheer panic and disbelief. I was so scared and confused. What did this mean for my future? I had so many questions running through my mind. Would I be able to have children? Would this affect my relationships? The uncertainty was overwhelming. My doctor explained that HPV is a very common virus, and it can sometimes cause changes in the cells of the cervix. He reassured me that many people have it, and that it doesn't always lead to serious health issues. However, it was important to monitor and treat any changes early. I needed to start treatment right away, and I was so worried. The thought of undergoing medical procedures and the potential side effects of treatment were daunting, but I knew that taking action was crucial for my health. Even though I was scared, I was also determined to face this head-on. I took a deep breath and decided to approach this challenge with a positive mindset. I reminded myself that I was strong and capable of handling whatever came my way. I started treatment and went to all my checkup appointments. Each visit to the doctor was nerve-wracking, but I knew it was a necessary part of my journey. I kept a journal to track my progress and to remind myself of the small victories along the way. The waiting and not knowing what would happen was really hard, but I knew I had to stay strong. I leaned on my friends and family for support, and they were my rock during this difficult time. Their encouragement and love gave me the strength to keep going, even when things felt uncertain.
HPV brought some tough challenges to Charlotte and Samuel's relationship, but they worked through it together by being open and honest with each other.
HPV put a real strain on my relationship. Talking about it was tough, and being intimate felt different. But Samuel, my partner, was incredibly supportive. He really listened to my fears and took the time to learn about HPV. Even though he was supportive, I could still sense he had some worries.
We faced these changes as a team. Talking openly was so important. Being honest and understanding with each other was the key.
Samuel's past experience with HPV left him with some guilt and confusion, and he wanted to understand how to best support Charlotte. He remembered the initial shock and fear when he first learned about his diagnosis. The stigma surrounding HPV made it difficult for him to talk about it openly, even with those closest to him.
I had my own experience with HPV from a past relationship. It was a challenging time, and I felt isolated. I didn't know how to approach the topic with my partner back then. Things didn't end well, and my ex-partner blamed me for it. The arguments were intense, and it left a lasting impact on me. I felt responsible for the pain and confusion it caused. I carried a lot of guilt and confusion about it. The weight of that experience stayed with me for years, affecting my self-esteem and my ability to trust in relationships. I was worried about passing HPV to Charlotte. The thought of potentially putting her through the same ordeal was terrifying. I didn't want to repeat the mistakes of my past. I knew it wasn't always spread through sex, but the uncertainty was tough. I spent countless hours reading articles and medical journals, trying to find clear answers. The more I learned, the more questions I had. So I decided to learn more. I made an appointment with a healthcare professional to get accurate information and guidance. It was important for me to be well informed. I talked to a doctor and did some research to understand how HPV is passed on. The doctor was very understanding and provided me with the information I needed. It was a relief to finally have some clarity. It really helped me understand things better. With this newfound knowledge, I felt more confident in supporting Charlotte and addressing any concerns she might have. It was a step towards healing and moving forward.
Charlotte talks about how the stigma around HPV made her feel ashamed and isolated, and how important it is to talk openly about it. She recalls the first time she heard about HPV and how little she knew about it. The lack of information made her feel even more vulnerable. She felt like she was the only one going through this, and that sense of isolation was overwhelming.
The stigma around HPV is like carrying a heavy, silent weight. I felt it so strongly. It was as if a dark cloud was constantly hanging over me, affecting every aspect of my life. I was afraid to share my feelings with even my closest friends and family. People whispered about it, and there was so much judgment and wrong information out there. I felt ashamed and completely alone. The misinformation made it worse, as people didn't understand what HPV really was. They treated it like a taboo subject, something to be feared and avoided. The stigma made it almost impossible to talk about it openly. People were just too afraid. I remember trying to bring it up in conversations, but the reactions were always the same: discomfort, avoidance, and sometimes even disgust. It was heartbreaking. But then I realized how important it is to educate people. I wanted to fight back against the stigma because I knew that knowledge is power. I started attending support groups and educational seminars. I began to share my story, hoping to reach others who felt the same way. Slowly, I saw a change. People started to listen, to understand, and to empathize. It was a long journey, but it was worth it. By speaking out, I found my strength and helped others find theirs too.
Charlotte found that talking openly with her loved ones helped her feel supported and less alone.
Charlotte, breaking the silence starts with talking. I learned to talk openly about HPV with my partner, my friends, and my family. I shared my story and how I felt. And you know what? Being vulnerable actually made me stronger. The people I love supported me. They listened without judging, and I realized I wasn't alone. So many people are affected by HPV. Talking about it created a space for healing.
Charlotte found comfort and strength in connecting with others who understood what she was going through.
Finding support showed me that I wasn't alone. I found support groups and connected with other people who understood. We shared our experiences and gave each other advice. Online forums and support groups were a lifeline for me. Reading other people's stories made me feel so much better. I wasn't alone in this journey. I also learned about helpful resources. Different organizations offered information and guidance. I felt empowered and so much less alone.
Charlotte's story is a story of resilience, and she wants others to know that there is hope and support available.
My journey with HPV is ongoing. I manage the virus with regular checkups. Now I'm speaking out to raise awareness and help people understand HPV. I want others to know that there is hope. HPV doesn't define who you are. With support and information, people can live full and happy lives. My story is proof that you can be resilient. It's a call for open communication and compassion. And it's a reminder that no one should have to face HPV alone.
To stay updated on more stories on this channel, please click the subscribe link. It's free to subscribe, and you'll receive a wealth of shared stories. Many people around the world face similar health concerns, and we're here to share their experiences. As a special bonus, if you subscribe today, you'll receive a personalized coupon voucher for 20% off any laboratory product or appointment throughout your subscriber's lifetime. Remember to show your support by hitting the like button. Your appreciation motivates us to create even more shared stories for everyone.